One last time at the desk for Off Trail with Luke and Chandler. I'm Luke.
I'm Chandler.
And this is Off Trail. Well, this is it.
Yep.
We don't know when this episode's being aired, but this is the last podcast episode. We are filming at the house.
Yeah.
In the studio, in our grungy basement.
Yep.
This is it. So, again, this won't be the last one that you'll see looking like this. Probably we don't know when exactly we're going to slot it in, but no more episodes will be recorded after this one here in the basement. So, it's kind of a big moment for us.
Saying goodbye.
So much so that you decided to don the OG of OG hats.
Yes, yep. The OG Bushwhacker hat. Decided it was good to wear that to commemorate this.
Yeah, no, it's good. And, for this episode, we wanted to do another installment of Bushwhacker Storytime.
Mm-hmm.
We did an episode before. It was good. It's fun hearing all the stories again and people that we've connected with. And we thought we'd do the same thing. Again, this won't be the last one. You see it looking like this, but it's just a way for us to kind of go out and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Remembering all the cool things we got to do, the cool stories, the great people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're going to have some fun with this one. Just kind of ride it out. So, we're going to start with, it's one big story of a trip that we did. What was it, back in February of last year?
Yeah.
The stories that you and I are both going to pull are from the same trip, but different moments.
Yep.
So I'll start because my thing came first in the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So we took a trip down to Moab, and then because it was a 3-day weekend, we're like, we got some time. We can extend into New Mexico for a day.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove down to Shiprock, New Mexico, where Shiprock is.
Yeah.
And it's a place that we had at least seen pictures of. I'm like, this looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we targeted that, got down there. Sure enough, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We were there at sunset and back again for sunrise the next morning. And, I can remember when we got there, we parked, we got out and everything, walked around, got up near the spine and everything. We all kind of went our separate ways a little bit.
Yeah.
Ben, was being Ben and
wandered.
left us. We lost him for a while.
Yep.
Me and Hero were kind of close, but Hero went off on his own thing a little bit too. So, and you and Kaylin went ways away.
Yeah.
But I had some time to myself for a bit, just what feels like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And as the sun is going down, it's just in that place. That's a moment that I'm not going to forget.
Yeah. Nope.
Because that place has a special feel to it. And it's just something you feel like when you're there. It's hard to explain what it's really like. I can just remember what it was like to be there and see this massive rock, and just feel, something come over me that's just just grateful to be there.
Yeah. That place has a there's something about it. So, there's something about a lot of places, but
that one in particular. And it's just, I don't know, it's a kind of feeling, a moment that you can have a lot of places, but it's heightened there. Yeah. It's strengthened.
Yeah.
And you can't help it. Some places you have to kind of force it, really stay in the moment, but there, it's coming.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, and it's another instance, just sitting on top of the rocks, looking out for miles in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
The sun's going down. There's nothing out there. And yet, it almost just feels like you're being watched.
Yeah.
And it's this is very unique.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain. But, the colors of the sky start changing a little bit. The light starts hitting the rock in different ways, and wind's blowing. It's a moment of solitude and quiet, and it's something that it's hard to beat.
Yeah, it really is.
And it sticks with you for a long time. And that place is just, for me, it's a special place.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like one of the big first trips we did. It's like, wow, we're going to New Mexico this weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's dope.
The first part of that last year was, whoa.
Yeah,
Did a
and
lot.
so it's just something that's stuck with me ever since, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a feeling I try to chase.
Mm-hmm.
That again, you can't get it every place,
Yeah,
but there it's easy.
yeah.
So it always
That rock demands your attention.
Yeah,
So,
it absolutely does, and it's a place that it's always going to have a special kind of place in my heart.
mm-hmm.
And for different reasons than say like somewhere like the Tetons or Glacier. But
yeah,
just incredible place,
yeah,
and kind of moment that I hope a lot of people can feel at some point, because then you understand what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah,
It's just different.
yeah. It's super unique.
Yeah. Well, so we did that, and then we came back to Moab
Yeah.
for your story.
Yeah, yeah. So we went down to Shiprock, and then, we got up that morning to go shoot and did sunrise at Shiprock. And then we head back up to Moab. And we were meeting up with our buddy Daniel. It was his birthday, and he wanted to go set up a rope swing.
Because he's crazy.
Because he's out of his mind.
But we love you, buddy.
Yeah. This dude does handstands on the edge of several 100-foot cliffs.
You don't want to know the stories I have of Daniel
We have
and what he's done.
Yeah, no, it's
Scary.
very scary. It's scary to be there for him too.
But we love you, buddy.
Yeah, we love him. Anyway, so we went over to what art?
Wilson Arch.
Wilson Arch, that's right. And this isn't in any of the national parks. It's just outside of Moab.
It's like 15 minutes south of Moab.
Yeah, yeah. Super cool arch, really big. And we met up with Daniel there, met up with a couple friends, and Daniel went and scaled the top of this arch because he's a psychopath. And
With no gear.
no gear.
Just
yeah.
in his vans.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
walked up it.
Meanwhile, there's people with like climbing gear getting
That are
ready to
going
climb it.
very slow. And
Very
he just
slow.
passes
He-
all of them.
Yeah. Anyways, gets up there, sets up this rope, and there's a bunch of people out there who are like tourists and stuff. And next thing you know, this rope comes down from the top of the arch, and here comes Daniel down the rope, and he's like, "All right, guys, we're ready to go." And we start hosting this rope swing, and we've got, obviously, all of our
We had
people,
like 6 or 7 of us there
yeah,
from our group.
and everybody's doing the swing, and then we have a lot of different people who are just like people we don't know who just came up and they asked if they can try the swing.
We're like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and so it ended up being like a thing.
It's probably a really dumb idea on our part,
Yeah,
because if anyone got hurt,
it'd be on us.
But
But
no, that was a crazy day.
yeah,
I mean, that was one of the cooler things I've done.
yeah,
Is that rope swing.
yeah,
It's not my cup of tea, but
yeah,
I'll do it for Daniel.
yeah. Super, super cool. I ended up not doing it. I just was.
He chickened out.
I did chicken out. Yeah, I do want to actually go do it though. I was just wanting to. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I was just wanting to take photos of people doing it, and but when we go do it again, which we are going to do it again because Daniel said we are going to go do it again, and when Daniel says we do it again, we do it again. But when we go do it again, I'm going to actually go.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, I will. I really actually do, I really do want to. But yeah, it was super. It was just cool. I don't know. It was cool to get a lot of people involved that weren't like anybody that we knew, just like total strangers. And I don't know. Some of these people we met up with later.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys are the ones that did the rope swing. We went to Canyonlands
And we found them.
and we found them, and we ended up hanging out with them for the night. And they're not photographers or anything. They were just out there sightseeing and stuff, and it was super cool.
No, it
So,
was a good time.
Yeah.
And it was fun because, like, we kind of set up that whole weekend. We're like, okay, Daniel, it's your birthday. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to go do a rope swing. We're like, oh, okay. And it ended up being a really, really good day.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a lot of fun, great people. Yeah, I mean, it was good memory
Yeah.
for sure.
Good stuff. So
Yeah. Well, we're going to move into my second story.
yeah.
And this it's really just a personal one for me. And it's kind of the same kind of story, like the last one with Shiprock. And it's me going to see an erupting volcano.
Yeah. Oh, you did that
in Hawaii.
Wow.
I went to Hawaii on a work/play trip because I work for a company who is based in Honolulu. But I took some days off to go have some fun. And I just so happened to go when when Kilauea was erupting. Not Mauna Loa, the bigger one. This was Kilauea, the second eruption kind of in the last year. And it wasn't planned. It just decided it was going to erupt like a week or two before I went.
Yeah.
So I just was lucky.
It just timed perfectly.
Yeah. Just by happenstance. I got to be there when it was going off. And, I flew into the Big Island, at night. And I knew no shot I was going to have any kind of sunset stuff. But landed, immediately went to Walmart, get just the bare minimum of stuff I was going to need for 24 hours on the island. And then beelined it for the volcano.
Yeah.
Knowing that this thing was going to be there. And I'm like, this is going to be so cool. And I get there in the park, going around the road, because it's the eruption was happening inside of basically just a big crater. So you can't see it from the road, but there's a parking lot you go to and you hike over to the edge of the crater, the rim. So as I'm driving around the outside of it, I'm not really paying attention to what's around me. I'm just driving folks on the road. Then I happen to look over, and the sky was filled with what's called fog, volcanic smog. I look over, and again, this is at night. The fog, the sky, is just glowing red. I'm like, oh. I literally did, and for the next 2 minutes, as I'm getting into the parking lot, I'm just laughing to I'm like, this is gonna be amazing. I can't wait for this. I'm just beside I'm like, this is, oh my gosh. Like a little kid.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea what to expect. And then I saw that. And I'm like, okay, if it's that strong, this is legit.
Yeah.
So then I get in the parking lot, I walk up, and again, the whole time, before you get to the rim, I can just see the fog glowing red. I'm like, what is this going to be like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get up to the edge, and it's just the lava lake with all the little lines just glowing orange, red. And it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen.
So much so that you FaceTime me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some of my photos and stuff, and then I FaceTimed you. I was like, you need to see this.
Yeah.
It's this is incredible. And, it was 12, 1 o'clock here in Utah at the
I think
time.
it was 1 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, you were in bed. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. You
Yeah.
have to. Because I wasn't getting another chance the next day.
Yeah.
Because I was flying out before sunset the next day. And so, this was the only shot I got.
Yeah.
It's I gotta call someone.
Yeah.
This is a big moment in my life. I have to call someone.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I FaceTimed you so you could see it. I mean, and then, after I was done shooting at the first spot, I walked around a little bit to a different ledge area and was shooting from there. And I noticed that, with all the fog and stuff, a little higher up in the sky, unobstructed with clouds, fog, anything like that, I could see the stars. And I was like, yep, I'm going to need to get a photo with the stars and this erupting volcano in it.
Yeah.
And so I worked it out and got one, and it just looks epic.
It's a really cool photo.
I mean, it's,
yeah.
And then, I got that, and I really couldn't think of any other ways to shoot it just because of, how close you really can't get to it. And so then I just kind of stayed up there for 15, 20 minutes, just being there.
Yeah.
Looking at it. And almost to the same degree, you go out camping, you have a campfire, you end up just kind of staring into the fire.
Yeah.
Not saying anything.
Yeah.
It's almost that same thing. Just watching lava come out of the ground.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know how else to explain it other than it was just one of the most incredible things I have or maybe will ever see in life. I mean, it's just I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I got to be there, you know, again, by happenstance with the volcano going off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, not everyone gets to see that.
Yeah.
And I'm just lucky.
Yeah.
I just feel incredibly humbled and blessed to have gotten that opportunity. And it's something that, like, I can just relive in my head every day.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool experience.
Yeah, that's incredible. I've had a lot of really cool experiences and seen a lot of really cool places, but I've never even experienced something close to that.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what will compare.
Yeah.
Like, I was joking. Like, when I came back from that trip, I'm like, I peaked for the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done the coolest thing that I'm probably going to do all year.
Yeah.
And it was the second week of January.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how do I
You just give up now,
yeah, like, there's nothing I could really do that's going to top that.
except for maybe another volcano somewhere else, you know?
Maybe
Like,
if it's in the cards.
yeah,
Probably not, but
probably
maybe.
not. Yeah, I don't know anywhere. I mean, unless you go to Iceland, but
I don't have plans for that.
yeah. So,
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my second story. Just one of the most incredible experiences of my life.
yeah, that is wild. It really is interesting too that, like, I never thought about this with, like, a volcano, because it's a volcano versus a campfire. Like, it's one's, you know.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that something about fire and just, like, that kind of heat just draws us to, like, it's like mesmerizing. Like, we can sit and stare at the fire for hours and, like, not even say anything. And it's like, I don't know why. You know, even when we are talking, like, if we're sitting around the campfire having a conversation,
You're just looking at the fire.
you're just looking at the fire, even if you're talking. And so I've never really thought about, like, lava being the same way.
I just think it has something to do with the fact that, obviously, there's difference because lava, you know, it's just a natural thing. Uncontrolled fires, we set it up.
Yeah.
So some of a difference. But my theory is still going to apply, is that you can't help but stare because, like, you're just so captured by the fact that some kind of natural occurrence that it generally is so dangerous and threatening to us, we found a way to control.
Yeah.
And that balance that we've struck with it is something that just, like you said, mesmerized. We're like, it's a unique thing, and we just get captured by it.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
It's
So.
it's just I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
I'm out of words.
If you've never experienced it, then you really can't explain what it's like.
Yeah.
So, and obviously I've never had that experience with lava, but, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's cool. That's a cool experience.
Yeah, we should just end the episode there,
I think so too, because I don't have anything that can top that.
but we're not. So,
Yeah. Fortunately, the point of this episode is not to top each other. It's just to tell
but
cool
I'm
stories.
gonna win.
Yeah, well, that's why I said lucky for me. That's not the point of the episode. That's because I would lose. So, trying to think. I got two more stories. Trying to think which one to go for next.
So,
So-
I'll just tell you right now, we're gonna do both yours consecutively, and we're gonna end on mine because mine's more like bushwhacker, like as a whole.
Okay.
So, let's do both of yours next.
Okay.
So,
Cool. Yeah,
I don't know if
that
it really
gives me-
matters then which one you go.
Yeah,
with,
no, I mean, kind of, because my last one of mine is a little bit more bushwhacker specific
Okay.
as well. So we'll end me on that. But so my next story. So last June, I'm trying to remember what day it was. I think it was like a Thursday, and you texted me, and you're like, "Hey man, just so you know, I'm meeting up with Kevin and Galena in Telluride this weekend. You're like, I'm leaving tomorrow." And I was like, I've wanted to go to Telluride for the longest time. That is like that was like on the top of my list. I was like, I have to get to Telluride, no matter what. So I texted, and I usually don't do this, but I was like, can I come?
Yeah, you just invited yourself.
I absolutely invited myself. I was like, can I tag along on this? And you're like, I don't think that's a problem. I was like, yes. And I texted Kalen, and I was like, hey man, Telluride this weekend, you in? He's like, yeah. He's like, do you want to carpool though? I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to carpool. Like, that'll be better for both of us, you know? And so Thursday, night. I think Thursday afternoon. Decided, yeah, we're gonna go to Telluride. Friday, get off work, leave for Telluride. Super last minute, like almost no planning on my part. I was like, I know Luke has a plan, and I'm just gonna go where he tells me to go. I just want to come along for the ride because I just want to be in Telluride. I don't even care what we do. And so Friday comes, Kaylin and I meet up. We get everything packed up, head out, and we show up at this campsite, which is another actually kind of a funny story. The story of this campsite.
Yeah.
Which I kind of
about this.
I kind of forgot about that,
So I showed up at camp
Yeah.
late at night, got in, through the gate and everything. And I'm sitting there for an hour until I think, I don't know if you guys or Kevin showed up first. I can't remember. Yeah.
We did, yeah.
So just waiting for you guys to show up, and then everyone came. We ended up going to bed later that night. We wake up in the morning, and there's a lady who's trying to yell at us into our cars because we're all sleeping in our cars.
Yeah, she's pounding on our windows and stuff.
Yeah, and she was at Kevin and Galena's car, saying, like, we can't be there.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I woke up, I'm like, wait, what is going on?
Yeah.
And talking to her, and she was, like, the camp host.
Yeah.
And the campsite, the campground, was closed.
Yeah.
No indication
Yeah. We had no idea.
to us.
Yeah.
But the campsite was closed. And so we technically could not have been there. But she was nice enough, let us get our things together, and we got out.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
But we had no idea.
Yeah, no. You ended up it was kind of funny because, like,
I charmed her a little bit.
with that Furman charm.
Yeah. And got us out scot-free.
Yeah. Well, so Kaylin and I were really confused because, like, we were in my car. Kaylin ended up just, like, sleeping in the front seat, and I was in the back, and we could hear everything going on. And I remember we sat up, and we were, like, looking out the windows, and we were just kind of listening. And, like, you could tell that she was like, you can't be here, like, you're trespassing, whatever. And then she went and started talking to you, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, and then, like, the elk come through here sometimes, and, like, this. I was like, what happened? Like, how did we go from, like, you guys are trespassing to, like, just chatting about the campsite?
Hey, I worked my magic.
Yeah, it was weird.
Just total shift in tone.
I remember Kaylin and I were looking at each other like, what did he do?
Just, I'm not going to divulge my secrets.
Yeah.
But I can tell you it was not the stash, because I didn't have the stash back then.
No, the stash wasn't there, and the hair was almost half as long.
Yeah. So
I don't know what you did, but it was impressive.
I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, apparently. So, but that was a funny story. So, anyways, we got packed up and we left camp and went and drove around, saw a couple little, like, waterfalls and
Throughout
some of
the
the
day, yeah.
hit a couple different sites that are pretty popular. And end of the day, our plan was to spend sunset on top of one of the red mountains. I think there's 3 red mountains.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly. Were we on 3 or 2?
I don't
remember.
know.
But anyways, the road to get up to the top of this mountain, it's probably the most absurd road I've ever driven on in my entire life.
That's because it wasn't a road. It was just like flat-ish section of loose rock.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Up the side of a cliff.
Yeah.
One car wide.
Yeah. I mean, to the point where it's like, if you're familiar with off-roading, the FJ, like, we were in 4 low and then, like, basically in crawl mode trying to get up this dang mountain.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous.
It was epic.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get up to the top, and if you don't know Red Mountain, I mean, it's literally just a big, giant red mountain. I think it's, like, made of iron or something like that. Like, it's a big iron mountain. And we get up to this little, like, kind of pull-off area. It's not really a parking lot. It's just kind of like a flat spot.
Yeah.
And we get out, and we make the brutal hike to the top of the mountain. It wasn't very far. It was maybe, I don't know how long.
Half a mile.
Yeah.
I mean,
if that.
But it was, like, straight up.
It was easily.
On loose rocks.
Yeah. Easily like a 60% incline. On loose rocks, too.
Yeah, just insane.
But I got it there, and I was pumped. Like, we got out the car, and I was like, this is already, like, the greatest place I've ever been in my life. And then I was like, I can't imagine what. So I beelined it. I beat everybody to the top. I was basically running up that dang mountain. All you guys are like, so hard.
Wait, we were. I'm not going to lie.
It was hard. It was really hard. yeah, got up to the top of the mountain, and I don't like literally 360 views. Like every single way you turned
was a great photo.
Was a great photo. Yeah, it was the most insane photo play. I mean, just photo place, but like the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. Just, if you've ever been to the Telluride area, to the San Juan Mountains, you know that those mountains are wildly impressive. And so standing on top of one, it's not the tallest one in the area, but it's tall enough that you get like a really good kind of visual of everything going on. You can see way down into the valleys. You can see all the peaks. You're almost at the same level. So it was cool. It was so windy up there.
Yeah,
I kind of forgot about that, but yeah, it was just amazing. And I took way too many photos.
Yeah, I wish everyone who is watching or listening to this could have seen Chandler up there, because he was just all over the place. Like, oh, here, oh, over here, look, oh, but this way. And it's like, yeah, dude, I get it. It's beautiful.
You're like, I see it too.
Yeah. But like, that's easily the most excited I've ever seen you for photos.
Yeah, it is the most excited I've ever been for photos. It was phenomenal. Like, I don't have, that is my volcano moment, like,
yeah.
I can't describe what that was like. And then being up there with, a lot of my,
with good people,
closest friends and stuff, like, it was just a really, really cool experience. And yeah, I don't have too much more to say about just being up there, other than like, I can't, there aren't like good words to really describe it, but we got down the mountain and,
camped out later that night.
Yeah. On the way down the mountain back to the cars too, I was still like, this is still amazing. Because the sky, like, the sunset was great. Everything was perfect about it. The conditions were perfect. Yep. The sky was great. The people who were there, like, every single thing about that moment, it literally is the perfect, like, photography trip. The most perfect photography trip I've ever been on. Everything lined up perfectly.
Yeah, and especially when you got in the river the next day in front of all of us for the waterfall shot.
Yep.
Lined up perfectly.
Well, you know what?
For you.
Snooze lose.
But no, that was a good trip.
That really night too at camp was fun too. We kind of found this little spot that was tucked away in the trees, and there were some deer
walking all around us.
Yeah.
We couldn't.
We were freaked out for a little bit.
Yeah.
We were like, we're gonna die.
Yeah, that was a bear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
Galena's dog was freaked out.
Yeah. It was a good weekend.
It was a really good weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Well, before we get into our last stories, I'm going to just reset camera really quick. That way we can get through this uninterrupted. Mm-hmm. But let's hear your last story.
Yeah. So about a month after Colorado, we had set up. Gosh, my ear is itching. We set up this this big bushwhacker camping trip. And we were going out to the Uintas. And we had a spot that we had found. You and I had gone out, me and Derek had gone out and kind of scouted a little bit, like a week or two prior, to figure out a good camping spot. And it's just below Bald Mountain, kind of in the Mirror Lake area. And just a little BLM spot. Anyways, so it got time to go, and we had probably gathered... how many people? Like 16? 15?
I would say 15, yeah.
Yeah, 15 to 16 people. It was a really good-sized group. And luckily the Uintas are one of these places where we're pretty comfortable with taking bigger groups. Some of these bigger established campgrounds. There's a lot of places that we won't take groups that size, but the Uintas is one of them. So we gathered big group of people, went out there, set up camp, and I don't know, it was weird because like, it wasn't like
it wasn't epic.
It wasn't like an epic photo trip.
No. I mean, it was just a good time.
Yeah. I luckily was able to bring some kayaks and some paddle boards from work. We had bought some like coolers and stuff. Like there was a lot of cool stuff that like we were able to do on that trip. So we were able to go kayaking, do a lot of paddle boarding, and we were just hanging out. It was a really relaxed weekend. I remember we got done with that. Well, so we got there. We got all set up on Friday afternoon, and then Saturday we got up. We didn't really like try for sunrise or anything. You know, we didn't go shoot sunrise. It wasn't necessarily like a photo trip, which was a little bit weird for us. Everybody there was photographers, you know, but we were like, this is just going to be a relaxed camping weekend. And so we got up on Saturday. We went out to Mirror Lake. We did a lot of kayaking and paddleboarding and just kind of hanging out. A couple other guys that brought their own paddleboards and whatnot. And yeah, we were just hanging out all weekend. We did end up went to go shoot sunset at Christmas Meadows, which was super fun. Great time. But yeah, it was just a cool experience sitting at night around the campfire with
12 other people.
12 other people. You know, it was kind of funny too because we were up until probably like 1 and 2 in the morning, just chatting around the fire. And while we're doing it, like Road Dogg and Joe or Jordan are out
taking Milky Way photos.
And we're like, we could go take some cool because they got really cool photos.
Yeah, they did.
And there's a part of me that's like, dang it, like that would have been cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. There was something just so fun about not stressing and not pushing getting photos, and just going on a regular camping trip.
Yeah, it was just a good slow weekend with great people.
Yeah, people from a lot, like Benji came up from St. George to go. Yeah. Like we had a really good group of people.
Yeah, so it was just a good time.
Yeah,
and not stressing for photos, just trying to be with people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's important, especially for those of us who are always out chasing photos and whatnot. And it is important to kind of take those trips where you're stepping back from, essentially working and just having a relaxing camping weekend. So,
yeah, I agree. There's so many good things we did last year.
Yeah,
and that's one of them.
That is definitely one of them. Yeah,
I mean, it's just a good time.
Yeah, so. Jared sent his van through the muddy puddles.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that was fun.
That was a good time.
Yeah, but we're gonna do my last story. Mm-hmm. And I thought this would be a great way to finish this up because it's not necessarily one story. Mm-hmm. It's like a big conglomeration of all stories, but I will focus on like one of them to prove the point. Mm-hmm. And if I had to give the story a title, it would have to be called something like, "Oh wow." And I know it sounds silly, but hear me out.
I don't think I know what story you're going to tell. Did you tell me?
Well, like I say, it's like a conglomerate of all adventures we have. Yep. But when we go out and do things, it's we go to really cool places.
Yeah.
You can't even get through that with a straight face.
Yeah.
Some of the things we see are places that I, as a Midwestern boy, mm-hmm. never knew could have existed.
Yeah.
Because places like this just I don't see ever.
Yeah.
And we get to come out to them basically anytime we want.
Yeah.
And we kind of take it for granted. We take groups out all the time, small groups. I like to take, 5 to 6 people. All these amazing places that would blow your mind. Mm-hmm. And when people see like my photos of from back at home, they're like, "Is that place real?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, "Did you Photoshop it?" No. Like, this place exists on this planet.
Yeah.
And for me now, 4 hours from where I live, mm-hmm. or 5, 6, whatever. But we get to take groups out to all these places. And, moving out here from the Midwest after 26 years out there, taking all these photos, like my parents got to see all the photos I get to take, right?
Yeah.
And, they never got to go. They don't get to see these things in person. Mm-hmm. But they come out for about 2 weeks in the summer.
Yeah, I remember this.
And I took them to basically what were 2 of our favorite places. And mm-hmm. when I say place, I mean like regions, basically, areas. Because in those areas, there's multiple things to see. But I took them to 2 of our favorite areas mm-hmm. that, if you give me the choice, like I'm picking one of those 2 every weekend.
Yeah.
They're that good.
Yeah.
So I took them to both those places and got to show them what it is that we do. Mm-hmm. And, the things we get to see, the experiences we get to have. And, I don't know how many stops we made in total, but, whatever, maybe 12 in total. And all of these places look cooler than anything in the Midwest. Just the way it is out here in Utah.
Yeah.
But at nearly every single one of those, you know, you get there to the end of your trail or the road you're taking, whatever it is. You get out of the car, you stop for a second, you look, and when it's the first time that you've seen things like this, you can't help but just say something along the lines of, "Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is incredible."
Yeah.
You can't help it. You know, some version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm telling the story of my parents, but it applies to everyone that we've done stuff with over the last year and a half. You know, some people have been to these places before, but there is nothing cooler for me, for I'm assuming for you, for the people we get to do stuff with, than taking people to these places for the first time and seeing what their reaction's like.
Yeah.
Because after you've gone for the first time, you kind of lose that initial feeling of awe because it's not novel to you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, our favorite places in southern Utah, like we've gone like 5 or 6 times. Mm-hmm. And those places still capture you, but like it'll never be like the first time.
No.
And to get to see, you know, someone's face light up, to see the enthusiasm brew inside of them when they get to see these things for the first time. When we take people into the middle of the desert at night and wake up in a place that looks like another planet, and we just say, "Welcome."
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that feeling.
Yeah.
Like than getting to experience that with other people.
Yeah.
And that's what Bushwhackers is all about.
Yeah.
And you know, the story that I chose to explain this with my parents, like, there's nothing better than getting to take your parents to those places.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, that's special. And it's just something that we get to do time and time and time and time again with people.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, we've chosen to do this as a job. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, like, I don't take lightly because I know what it was like to see these places for the first time myself.
Yeah.
And you understand what it's like for these people.
Yeah.
Who not only, you know, have not gotten to do a ton with other photographers before, but don't get to travel to these spots.
Yeah.
And so to be the people that get to help give people these experiences, I mean, there's nothing better.
No.
If we don't make a dime from this venture with Bushwhackers, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that is what it's all about.
Yeah, it really is.
So
there's nothing like that. So I think one thing too, another little takeaway from that is maybe just I don't know. It just kind of makes me think a little bit about how I maybe view the world around me and how I live my life, as I try to retain some sort of a almost like childlike sense of wonder about the world around me. You know, even like every day when I'm driving home from work, you know, I see the Wasatch Mountains every single day of my life, and every single day of my life I'm like, gosh dang, this is such a cool place. You know, every single, like, I take a moment to appreciate it every single day. You know, it's funny because, like, I grew up here. You know, I grew up in southern Utah. I'm not, like, the southern Utah, like, look is not foreign to me. It's very, very familiar to me. I've seen it my entire life. But I still, and maybe it's because you know, when I was 18, I went out to the Midwest and to the South. And I was like, this is a special place. And this stuff does not exist everywhere. And it made me, like, really take a moment to really think about, like, I am really lucky to be able to live here. And the stuff that's here is, I mean, it's there really aren't words to describe it. So I don't know, if you're from Utah, if you've grown up in Utah, and you're like, Utah's kind of lame.
Me, as a Midwesterner, I will prove you wrong.
Yeah, I will prove you wrong as a local, somebody who's lived here my entire life. Yeah. Like, I still, like, and I don't know, maybe that's just how I am. You know, I approach life with, like I said, some sort of a, childlike sense of wonder about the world around me. But I urge everybody to do that. And if you do, you'll find so much more, joy and appreciation for just the tiny little things around you. So, I mean, no matter where we go, I find some sort of cool thing about Utah. So,
yeah, I mean, and it's not just Utah; it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. Yeah, Utah's a good example, but
yeah,
it is
but
everywhere.
It's just like, like I guess like I'm honored, I'm humbled, I feel privileged to be able to be in this position.
Yeah,
not only for myself, but again to get to show other people the beautiful and sometimes unknown places in this country. One of the things I hate hearing the most is like, oh, I want to travel, but I'm going to go over to Europe. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Do you know what's in your backyard?
Yeah. Because it's not just because like, oh, I want to go to Europe. It's like, I want to go to Europe because there's nothing in the United States.
It's like, you are dead wrong.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. And
it's like, yeah, there's amazing stuff to see in Europe. There's a lot of stuff in Europe that absolutely compares, and maybe there's even some stuff that's cooler than the United States, but that does not mean that there is not cool stuff in the United States. You just have to know where to look. Because, I mean, you just think about it from a photography standpoint, especially a landscape photography standpoint. Like, people come from all around the world to take photos in southern and central Utah. Like, there's nothing down there. Nobody thinks to go to that place. It's the most desolate area in the world. But yet it's one of the most famous spots on the entire planet for landscape photography.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just, it's a special place to be in. Not only here in Utah, but for us with Bushwhackers, it's, again, I can't tell you how many times that we've gotten to go out. We arrive to where we are, and people change.
Yeah.
And you can see it in them.
Yeah.
In their faces, in their body language. Like, you can see what it means to them.
Yeah. And
there is no greater reward in anything that we do with Bushwhackers than that.
Yep, I can't agree more.
It's just, for me, it felt like it was the perfect way to finish this episode.
Yeah.
And be the last thing that we talk about on the podcast in this house.
Yeah, in this space, yeah.
Because we're transitioning into the next phase of all of this. And it's like, as these kind of transitional points come up, I think it's good to remember why it is that you do what you do.
Yeah.
And for us, that's a big part of it. And I don't know, just felt like the right way to send it out.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's all we got for today. If you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We have plenty more stories where this came from. We're nowhere near done.
Absolutely not. And more will come.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd love to hear your stories. Leave us a comment. Especially if you've been out with us and been on these trips, like, please tell us what it was like from your experience. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, we can see it in you, and, we kind of generally talk about it, but we don't usually, it seems like we don't usually ask people like, hey, what does this mean to you? What was it like?
Yeah, yeah.
So we'd love to hear that. So please leave us a comment. We're also on all major podcasting platforms if you prefer audio only. We talk about a lot of really good things. Some good conversations happen on this show, and we'd love if you tune in there as well.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think that's it. So, to send off the studio, the house, a year being here, about 6 months doing this show.
Yeah.
Again, there will be more episodes. Just relax.
We're not done.
This is the last pre-recorded episode we're doing.
And this is not it for the podcast. It's just it for this specific
We're going to
space.
come back bigger, better, stronger,
happier, faster,
more agile. But, I think that's where we'll leave you today. So
I like it.
Have a great day. We hope that we can connect with all of you at some point and maybe get to share a story that we got to have with you on this show at some point.
Yeah.
So, see you guys later.
Bye.